Blue Jay fans, get ready because the trade deadline is heating up fast and Toronto is in the mix for some of the biggest names on the trade market. With the Blue Jays now on top of the baseball world, it is the perfect time for Ross Atkins to capitalize on that momentum and go add some big talent to this roster in order to increase their chances at a deep playoff run. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you every single player that the Blue Jays have shown interested in so far at this trade deadline and whether or not it's likely the Blue Jays will actually go and make those trades. Before we get into it though, I encourage you guys to please hit that like button and smash that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Blue Jays trade news and rumors. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's first start off with the relief pitching market. We know that the Blue Jays are absolutely going to be going in and getting some relief pitchers. The last couple seasons where they have been buyers, they've been going out and they get like 2, maybe even 3 arms, and that's where Ben Nicholson-Smith is coming in here. He did say on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, that he feels that there could be an opportunity for the Blue Jays to get as many as 3 relief pitchers. And when you look at the Blue Jays roster, that's exactly what they need to do. There's a few guys down there like Chad Green and Tommy Nance and Brule and even Mason Fluharty where they're not really locked into the bullpen, and it feels like the Blue Jays could go absolutely upgrade in that area. Because when you look at even the back end of the bullpen, you got guys like Jeff Hoffman. You wanted him to come in and be the closer, and he's been okay for some of the part, but we've all seen the home runs that he's been giving up. He gives up a lot of loud contact, and personally, I think we need another option in there as a closer, and you probably need some other options as well for like a right-handed flamethrower, and those are the 2 guys that I'm looking at right now. A right-handed flamethrower and a solid option that could close you games. We did see a trade rumor recently about Ryan Helsley from the I almost said Arizona Cardinals. That's my football team, from the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's the latest report. You've got over here from The Athletic, Katie Wu, saying that it's possible that Ryan Helsley, the closer of the St. Louis Cardinals, will get traded. She's saying it's 90% likely going to happen. And one of the teams that have called and showed interest is your Toronto Blue Jays. So how good has Ryan Helsley been this season? Well, he's been solid, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a 3 ERA. The whip, not so good, 1.389, a little bit higher than you'd like to see for a guy closing out games, but he's got 21 saves under his belt. The FIP is a lot better than what it suggests. It's a 3.51 FIP. So what is the likelihood of the Blue Jays getting someone like Ryan Helsley? I would put it at a pretty likely, honestly. Looking at the relief market right now, they are looking for somebody in the back end that could give him some closing options. And they do have a trade history with the St. Louis Cardinals. We've seen them trade for Jordan Hicks, Paul DeYoung, if y'all remember that replaced Bo Bichette for a little bit back in 2023. So yeah, they do have a history, and I could easily see Ryan Helsley coming in and filling in that bullpen. Now, how much is it going to cost? Probably not a whole lot. We've already seen a trade go down for Gregory Soto over to the New York Mets, and he didn't cost a whole lot. Now, I think Ryan Helsley will cost a little bit more, but he really didn't cost a whole lot. They sent over a couple guys for Gregory Soto that were basically a 19th ranked prospect and an unranked prospect for Gregory Soto. So if you're thinking about Ryan Helsley, the Blue Jays could send over a middle tier prospect, maybe a little bit upper teen tier, and that would get the job done, folks. It's not going to cost a lot because he is on an expiring contract. So Blue Jays and Ryan Helsley, that feels right. Now, here's another name that the Blue Jays have been interested in the trade market. They were looking at Gregory Soto, funny enough, but they were also looking at his teammate, Sir Anthony Dominguez, over there in Baltimore. And Sir Anthony Dominguez kind of profiles as that guy that's going to whip out 100 miles per hour. It's going to be wild, and you don't know what's going to happen. But the Blue Jays don't really have that type of flamethrower in their bullpen. He is also going to be a free agent at the end of this year. His ERA is at a 3.32, so it's not bad at all, ladies and gentlemen. Whip of 1.35. And like I said, that's that flamethrower option the Blue Jays don't really have right now. The Blue Jays were supposed to have Jimmy Garcia be that guy, but the the injuries to Jimmy Garcia have been kind of piling up, and we don't really know what we're going to get. So you might as well go out and guarantee that you're going to get a flamethrower. You could send over pennies for Sir Anthony Dominguez. So look for the Blue Jays to go and try and acquire a guy like Sir Anthony Dominguez. And again, I think the likelihood is pretty high. Now, is he the big bullpen upgrade that we're all looking for? Not really, but you do need some middle relief guys to go and fill out the depth of that bullpen. Now, I know these aren't the David Bednars or the Manuel Clases or the Johan Durans of the world, but these guys would absolutely complement this bullpen in a big way. So hopefully, if they go make that big all-in move, they'll have these guys as well as some depth. So stay tuned, though. The trade deadline isn't over. Maybe there's some rumors coming out a little bit later about some bigger names in the market. Now, here's an interesting trade update for a guy that we have been looking at pretty heavily, and that is Mitch Keller over on the Pittsburgh Pirates. There was a recent report here by Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic that the Pirates remain unsure on whether or not they want to trade Keller 6 days before the deadline. And here's the reason why. Because Mitch Keller is committed to the Pirates for another 3 seasons. It's not likely that a lot of teams just ship off guys that have lots of control, especially when you're looking at the Pirates and how they've run this organization. They've just waited till guys get to the final year of their contracts and then sell them off. They're really kind of incompetent franchise, I'm going to be honest. But Mitch Keller has been that name that's been tossed around a lot for the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays have called and they have shown interest in him so far this trade deadline. But the thing is, he will cost a lot because of that control, and because if the Pirates aren't really sure if they're wanting to trade him, they're probably asking for a decent amount. If you're going to spend a lot of that capital, that prospect capital on Mitch Keller, is that going to be the guy to get you over the hump? I think it's definitely a big play for the future, and definitely a play to get you to the playoffs and have a lot of depth and save a lot of arms in that bullpen. But is it that like top-end guy, that elite dude? No, he's not really. So if the Blue Jays are okay with spending up, then absolutely go for it, but you're going to have to pry him out of the hands of the Pirates because it feels like they're clinging on to him and they want a little bit more. Now, a guy that might be a little bit cheaper to get and has a little bit of control is Sandy Alcantara, and that's the latest here from Hector Gomez saying that the Blue Jays have reached out to the Marlins to inquire about him. Now, the reason why he could be a little bit cheaper is because of how he's performed so far this season. I mean, it's not been good, ladies and gentlemen. The WAR is at negative 1.5, the whip of 1.433, the ERA of 6.66, and he hasn't really been getting that much better. The last month of baseball, he's got a 5.63 ERA, and the FIP looks good. Like, don't get me wrong, the FIP is showing signs that he's coming back into form, and trading for Sandy would be a play that, hey, maybe you could fix him in the second half, maybe you fix him for next year. But he's not going to be the guy right now that you can guarantee to start in a playoff game and lock it in. Because right now, I mean, this guy is absolutely our worst starting pitcher. He's worse than Max Scherzer. But the Blue Jays, if you could swing maybe a low ball for Sandy Alcantara with the way he's been playing, because he is a former Cy Young guy. Yeah, he's got that pedigree. Sure, why not? I'll never say no if it's not going to cost you your top prospects. So be on the lookout. Maybe the Blue Jays make a little bit of a surprising trade and bring in Alcantara as a little bit of an experimental piece. Now, I've got one more starting pitcher that the Blue Jays have shown interested on, and we did talk about this on our Blue Jays Today show, but I do want to hammer this point home one more time, and that is Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is very, very interesting. Of course, he's only got 2 months left on his contract and will be a free agent. But he's interesting because the expected numbers say he should be performing a lot better than what he's doing right now. His ERA is at 4.59 and a whip of 1.3, but the expected ERA is 3.49. So he should be doing a lot better. He's obviously got the great strikeout stuff. He could be a guy where down the stretch, you might see him potentially get hot and find his form and see those numbers round out to where they have been in his career, which is usually a mid 3 to upper 3 ERA. I'd be very interested in a Dylan Cease kind of player. Look, guys, there isn't a lot of sure locked-in aces. I know a lot of people bring up the Joe Ryans of the world, but if you could maybe get a guy who has some upside to be an ace, then Dylan Cease might be that play. And plus, he isn't going to cost a whole lot at all. Like, sure, there's other guys out there like Bubic as well that have control and they're a stud. Might cost you quite a lot. But if you want to hang on to your top prospects, which they have been very vocal about, hanging on to Namala, hanging on to Trader Savage, Dylan Cease might be a play where if he does turn it around in the second half, he could start game one for you if he's locked in the second half. So be on the lookout for Blue Jays maybe trading for Dylan Cease, if, of course, the Padres are willing to trade for Dylan Cease, because they still are technically in a playoff spot right now. So if they do want to move on from him, then the Blue Jays might be in on it. Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only, must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. And finally, I'll end off this video with the diamond of the ball, Eugenio Suarez. Now, there isn't really any rumors out there that is saying the Blue Jays have called about him or they're linked to him. And if there are, please let me know, because I haven't really seen any. But Eugenio Suarez right now is the diamond of the ball, and it feels like the Blue Jays might have a better chance than they did just 24 hours ago, because the Yankees traded for Ryan McMahon and Josh Naylor went over there to Seattle. Even though Seattle is still looking at Eugenio Suarez, that is apparently what Hector Gomez is saying here. Mariners have intensified the talks with Eugenio Suarez. We'll see if that is true or not, but a lot of people are still kind of gunning for him, including the Cubs. But the Blue Jays, if they really want to get Eugenio Suarez, it might cost a lot, because that's why the Yankees decided to go inevitably with Ryan McMahon, because he costed a little bit less. But we'll see. I mean, I'm never going to say no. There's been no linking, so I'm going to make that very clear. If the Blue Jays want to get him, it's going to cost up. And that, my friends, that would be the all-in move that would bring us over the hump. Like, adding him to the lineup, I know the lineup's already phenomenal, but adding that power, like, the Blue Jays would be unstoppable. But we'll wait and see if Eugenio is a realistic option for the Blue Jays. All right, guys, so that is the latest Blue Jays trade news and rumors. If you enjoyed this update, please make sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And as always, guys, go Jays, go.